It had been 2 years since Tund caught his wife using a dog to satisfy herself in the guest room, because she wasn't getting enough from him. Let's look deep into the story. It had now been 2 years since their wedding. 2 beautiful, restored years, full of passion, laughter, and growth. Tund and Adaora had rekindled everything they thought they lost. Their home was peaceful, their love was steady, and their intimacy was now stronger than ever. But one thing remained missing: a baby. Every month they hoped. Every month she waited to feel something different. And every month, nothing. The silent wish. At first, Adaora didn't say much. She told herself not to panic. After all, she was still in her early 30s, and Tund had always said, "Let's enjoy ourselves first." But with each passing cycle, a quiet pressure began to build. She noticed the way people looked at her at family events. The way her mother-in-law smiled politely but said things like, "We're praying for good news soon, oh." And even though Tund never pressured her, she felt it too, in her own heart. She wanted to be a mother. She wanted to carry his child. She wanted to hear little feet running through the hallway of their home. When desire meets frustration, Tund too began to notice. They were making love frequently, almost every other day. Their bond had never been better. Yet, after 2 years, nothing had happened. One night, after another negative pregnancy test, Adaora sat on the edge of the bathtub, silent. Tund found her there, staring into space. He knelt in front of her, took her hands. "We'll figure this out," he said. What if something's wrong?" she whispered, barely audible. He squeezed her hand gently. "Then we face it together. Like everything else, taking action." That week, they went for their first fertility consultation. Both of them got tested: hormone levels, sperm count, ovulation tracking. It was awkward, vulnerable, but they were determined to do it together. The doctor was kind and thorough. "There's no sign of any major problem," he said. "But sometimes even healthy couples can take longer to conceive. If nothing happens in a few more months, we'll explore other options, IVF, IUI. But for now, keep trying naturally and we'll monitor." It wasn't the miracle news they hoped for, but it wasn't hopeless either. It was a beginning, growing through it. In the months that followed, Tund became even more supportive. He started joining Adaora in lifestyle changes: less stress, better diet, daily walks, supplements. They prayed together at night, cried quietly sometimes, too. But they always ended the night holding each other. Sex wasn't just about pleasure anymore. It became a prayer, a longing, a sacred attempt at creating life together. Sometimes it hurt to hope so hard, but they never stopped trying. It was on a calm Saturday evening. Tund had stepped out to pick a few groceries, and Adaora, left alone in the living room, found her thoughts spiraling again. Another month had come and gone, and her period had arrived 2 days ago. Another negative test. Another silent heartbreak. She picked up her phone and dialed the one person she always ran to when she needed to speak freely.
"Rito."
"Babe, you sound heavy," Rita said, picking up almost immediately. Adaora sighed deeply.
"I'm tired, Rita."
"It's been 2 years now. Nothing. I don't even know if I'm doing something wrong." There was a long pause on the other end. Then Rita responded softly. "Ada, do you remember I once told you about the fertility clinic that helped me when I was also struggling to conceive?" "Yes," Adaora replied, suddenly more alert. "It's called the People's Doctor Medical Center. They're in Benin City. Very good and reputable. I've referred 2 people already, and both have babies now." Adaora sat up straighter. "Really?" "Yes, and there's one amazing doctor there. You can actually message him directly on Instagram. He responds fast and will tell you how to go about it." "That's how I started too." "Send me the page," Adaora said without hesitation. The first step. That night, Adaora scrolled through the Instagram page Rita had sent her, the handle at MD People's Doctor. She was surprised at how detailed and professional the posts were. Testimonies, educational tips, real client reviews, and even gentle encouragements for couples like her. Tund returned home to find her deep in thought, staring at her phone. "Who's that?" he asked. It's a fertility doctor Rita recommended. She said they helped her conceive. He sat beside her as she showed him the page. Tund nodded, supportive as ever. Let's try, he said simply. We've come this far together. What's one more step? Ada Ora smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude, consultation and hope. She messaged the clinic's page that evening. Within hours, she got a response, warm, professional, and clear. They asked a few background questions, explained the steps, and gave her a link to pay for her initial online consultation. Ada Ora transferred the consultation fee immediately. After paying the consultation fee, Ada Ora received a message from the clinic's Instagram handle, at MD People's Doctor, with the next steps. Thank you for trusting us, Ma. Kindly run the following fertility tests for you and your husband and send in the results for proper analysis. We need both sides to rule out the exact challenge and recommend the best treatment. The message was followed by a detailed list of tests. For Tund, semen analysis, hormonal profile, FSH, LH, testosterone, scrotal scan. For Ada Ora, hormonal profile, FSH, LH, prolactin, estrogen, TSH, transvaginal pelvic scan, ovulation tracking. Tund and Ada Ora looked at each other, serious, but hopeful. Let's just do it. We said we would face this together no matter what, Tund said. Together, Ada Ora echoed. The unexpected results. They got some of the tests done immediately from a reputable lab in Abuja. Within a few days, the results started coming in, and Ada Ora scanned and sent them to the fertility clinic via WhatsApp. Later that evening, they received a voice note from the doctor. Thank you for sending in your results. After reviewing both of your tests, we've spotted two things that may be affecting conception. They both leaned in, their hearts racing. Mr. Tund's sperm count is quite low, marked as oligospermia. It means there are fewer sperm cells in the semen than required for optimal fertilization. However, this is something we can work on with the right supplements, timing, and adjustments. Tund swallowed hard, shoulders sinking a little. But the voice note continued. For Mrs. Ada Ora, your prolactin level is elevated. Prolactin is the hormone responsible for milk production after childbirth, but if it is high when you're not breastfeeding, it can interfere with ovulation and cause delays in conception. Ada Ora stared at the phone in silence, completely stunned. They had both done regular tests before, but these issues had never been flagged clearly. We didn't expect this, she whispered, processing the news. Tund paced the living room later that night. His ego had taken a hit, but he looked over at Ada Ora, who sat on the couch, fingers intertwined tightly. I thought it was you all along, she said softly. I thought it was you too, he admitted. They both laughed bitterly, not at each other, but at the assumptions they had silently lived with. Tund finally sat beside her and took her hand. So, we both have our parts to fix. No blame, no shame. We fix it together. Ada Ora looked at him, her eyes moist. Together, moving forward. The next day, they received a full treatment plan from the clinic. Tund was prescribed a natural sperm-boosting supplement plan, dietary recommendations, and was advised to reduce alcohol and avoid heat exposure near the groin. Ada Ora was placed on prolactin-lowering medication and encouraged to monitor her cycle closely. The doctor reassured her that once her levels came down, her body would begin to ovulate normally again. Every 2 weeks, the clinic checked in. The doctor monitored their progress. Ada Ora joined a private fertility support group via the clinic, where other women shared hopeful stories. We're not alone in this, she told Tund one night. He nodded. And we're going to beat it. One quiet Tuesday morning, Ada Ora stood in the bathroom, staring at her calendar. Something wasn't right. Her period was due 5 days ago, and while she had learned not to raise her hopes too quickly, she couldn't ignore how her body felt different. Mild nausea, tenderness, and a strange kind of calm. Maybe it's just stress, she whispered to herself. Still, her heart was beating faster than usual as she opened the drawer, pulled out one of the home pregnancy test Kitcht bought weeks ago, and made her way to the bathroom. She waited, and then, there it was, 2 pink lines, clear, bold, positive. Ada Ora's legs went weak. She covered her mouth and gasped. Jesus,
I'm pregnant.
Shared joy. Tund returned from a short morning errand to find the house strangely quiet. Then he heard her call softly from the bedroom. He rushed in, thinking something was wrong. But what he saw melted him to his core. Ada was sitting on the bed, eyes full of tears, holding the positive test strip in one hand and covering her mouth with the other. Baby!
I'm pregnant.
For a few seconds, Tund froze, processing what she said. Then he dropped his keys, dropped to his knees, and hugged her tightly. Are you serious? Are you sure? She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I've done it twice. Same result. He held her face, kissed her forehead over and over again. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. It wasn't just the joy of a child coming. It was the journey they had endured, the tears, the tests, the prayers, the faith. Now it had all led to this moment. A date to celebrate. That evening, Tund told her to dress up. No questions, he smiled. Just wear something nice. He took her to the same restaurant they had gone to on their first anniversary. The cozy place tucked in a quiet corner of Abuja with soft jazz music and dim lighting. This time, everything felt brand new. They held hands across the table, whispering, smiling, their hearts full. You've always been enough, he said, raising a glass of fruit juice for her. And you've been everything I prayed for, she replied, eyes shining. They laughed like lovers, stared at each other like it was their first date. And for that night, the world outside didn't matter. Their love had survived storms. Now it was basking in sunlight, grateful beginnings. Back home that night, Ada curled up beside Tund on the couch. Do you know what I'm most grateful for? She asked softly. What? He replied, stroking her hair. That you never gave up on me. That even when we didn't know what was wrong, you stayed. And when we found out, you didn't point fingers, you held my hand. He smiled. It was never your battle alone. It was ours. She rested her hand on her belly. Now, we have a miracle growing inside me. They sat in silence, overwhelmed by peace. Their story wasn't perfect, but now it was complete. Adaora's first trimester came with the usual tiredness, breast tenderness, and a bit of morning nausea. But by the time she entered her second trimester, everything changed. Instead of pulling away from Tund physically like most women do, Adaora felt the complete opposite. She was hungry for food, yes, but more than that, sex. Her hormones were in full swing, and her desire for Tund became almost unexplainable. Morning and night, please. One morning, Adaora rolled over in bed, her hands sliding over Tund's chest before he could even open his eyes. Baby, she whispered, her voice low and playful. MMM? He responded, half asleep. Let's do it. Now. Tund chuckled, still groggy. Ah. Again? Yes, again. I didn't get enough last night. He sat up, blinking in disbelief. Ada. This pregnancy is turning you to another person. Oh. She laughed. I just want you. Morning, night, anytime. First, Tund enjoyed it. He loved the attention, the closeness, the way she looked at him like he was the most irresistible man alive. But as her belly started growing, his confidence wavered. The belly fear. By the start of her 6th month, Adaora's round bump was prominent, beautiful, and very much in the way during intimacy. One night, she reached for Tund again. He paused. Ada, wait, are you sure it's okay? I don't want to hurt the baby. She raised her brow and sat up slightly. Tund, how many times will I tell you? The doctor said it's perfectly safe. The baby is protected inside. It's not like you'll touch the baby. I know, he said sheepishly. But sometimes I feel like I'm fighting for space with another human inside you. Adaora laughed so hard. She nearly cried. Just focus on me. The baby is chilling, understanding her needs. Tund finally relaxed again after she had him sit through a quick virtual session with their doctor, who reassured him gently. As long as there are no complications or bleeding, sex is not only safe, it can be healthy during pregnancy. It reduces stress for the mother and strengthens emotional bonding. That night, Tund took extra care. Slow, gentle, supportive, and Adaora? She felt alive, even with her swollen belly, stretch marks beginning to form, and backaches creeping in. She never felt more desired. And Tund began to realize pregnancy didn't take her away. It brought her even closer. In the heart of love, every kiss, every touch, every time they lay together. It wasn't just about pleasure. It was a celebration of what they were building. Family. Some nights, she'd cry softly after, placing his hand on her belly. "Can you believe there's life inside me?" she whispered. "It still feels like a dream," he'd say, rubbing her bump. And when the kicks began, tiny nudges that interrupted their bedtime routine, they both laughed and adapted. They were growing in every way, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It was a warm Saturday evening, with the skies calm and the air soft with breeze. Ada had just stepped out of the bathroom when she felt it. A sharp tug in her lower belly. Not the usual cramp. This one stopped her in her tracks. "Tund!" she called, gripping the bedpost. He rushed in immediately, dropping his phone on the floor. "What? Is it time?" She nodded, breathing through it. "I think it's happening." Within minutes, the hospital bag was in the car, and they were on their way to the maternity ward. Ada squeezed his hand so tightly as the contractions came in waves, but through the pain, she smiled. "We're finally here," she whispered. "Welcome, baby." Hours later, at 3:42 a.m., through sweat, tears, and joy, Ada gave birth to a healthy baby girl. The moment the doctor laid the baby on her chest, Ada broke into soft sobs. Tund stood beside her, wiping tears of his own, completely overwhelmed. "She looks like you," he whispered. "No," Ada said with a tired smile. "She looks like us." Tund kissed her forehead and then the baby's tiny hand. Their lives had changed forever. Life after birth. New rhythm, new fire. The first few weeks were a whirlwind of midnight cries, diaper changes, breastfeeding, and learning to function with barely any sleep. But even in the chaos, Tund and Ada found joy in little things, like watching their daughter yawn, or the way she curled her fingers around theirs. One night, after Ada finished feeding the baby and put her to sleep, she walked into their room and found Tund waiting, looking at her with that same old glint in his eyes. "You look beautiful," he said, reaching for her waist gently. "After all the milk and sweat?" she teased. "Even more beautiful, stronger than ever." Tund no longer needed the capsules his friend gave him. Months of taking them, combined with a healthier lifestyle, rest, and confidence restored through Adaora's constant affection, had done something powerful to his system. His body had adjusted, recovered, stabilized. Now his performance was no longer a worry. His confidence wasn't tied to pills. He was fully present, fully energized, and, more importantly, fully connected to his wife. "Do you know the most beautiful thing?" Ada whispered one evening after they made love, their baby already asleep in her cot. "What?" he asked, stroking her hair. "You don't even realize you've become the man I used to only dream about." Tund smiled, pulling her closer. "Because I already had the woman I prayed for. I just had to grow into the man you deserved." Chapter 104. Happiness, finally. Their home was now filled with laughter, baby giggles, music in the mornings, and warm cuddles at night. The journey had been long. There were delays, misunderstandings, quiet frustrations and fears. But now, they had peace, love, intimacy, a child, and each other. Tund and Ada no longer felt like two people trying to make a marriage work. They were one team, thriving in love and purpose. And every time Tund looked at his daughter or held his wife close at night, he whispered a simple prayer. "God, thank you. You gave me everything, and more." Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories.